Hello and welcome to Investment Development Nigeria, the program that showcases Nigeria's investment and development potential across the 36 states of Nigeria plus the FCT. Today our focus is on the Nigeria Governors Forum Secretariat, NGFS for short. Now, what happens at the Secretariat? What is the mandate of the Secretariat? And what are the achievements of the Secretariat is our focus today on the program. Don't go away, stay with us. My name is Mayowa Oluwabi.
The Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, is a closed coalition of the governors of the 36 states which make up the Nigerian Federation. The forum came to being in the early days of the Fourth Republic, following the realization of the importance of collective bargaining by the governors. However, the mandate of the forum has expanded beyond just being a vehicle for political bargaining to being a think tank and a hub for developmental ideas for national growth. While the NGF is an association of governors, with the chairman being the political head as first among equals, it is supported by a secretariat headed by a director general with various departments manned by seasoned professionals. It operates as a full-fledged, non-partisan, not-for-profit organization. The secretariat sets out a clear program of action on democratic governance precepts which define the philosophy of the forum within a framework that is measurable, controllable, and realistic. The NGF Secretariat operates behind the scenes to facilitate good governance by bringing about synergies and creating opportunities for interaction between individuals, agencies, and governmental bodies who have the common interest of bringing good governance to the Nigerian people. It becomes pertinent here to note some of the interventions undertaken by the NGF Secretariat in recent times. It was heavily involved in the certification of Nigeria, albeit Africa, as polio-free. The forum deployed personnel as well as its technical know-how and facilities fully towards the eradication of the disease in the country. It equally acted as a liaison between the international donor partners and the various states where the polio virus was mainly prevalent. The NGF Secretariat was also critically involved in the compilation of the Book of States, a compendium of the various investment opportunities and comparative advantages promoted by each of the 36 states of Nigeria, as published by the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC. The then Executive Secretary of the NIPC, Yewande Sadiku, did not mince words in appreciating the contributions of the NGF Secretariat in bringing the document to reality. When the national minimum wage issue broke out in 2017, a number of states suddenly realized that allocations from the Federation account would be inadequate to meet their obligations to the workforce in terms of salaries and as well meet the developmental challenges in the states. It therefore became imperative to grow the revenue base of the states in order to meet this added financial burden. With most states at a loss on what to do, the NGF Secretariat came up with the 2018 National Internally Generated Revenue Peer Learning Event. This event showcased states with a good internally generated revenue IGR record to their counterparts, with a view to them learning and borrowing some of the ideas to improve their IGR. As of today, it is credit to the NGF Secretariat that the IGR of states has increased year on year due to this intervention. The issue of the Paris Club refund is another major intervention of the NGF Secretariat when it became necessary to draw up a fiscal restructuring plan, FRP, to ameliorate the fiscal crisis in Nigeria due to dwindling crude oil prices on the international market. The plan, which was approved by the President, included the reimbursement of the Paris Club deductions to states and local governments, moratorium and low interest rates on concessionary loans, full refund on federal government roads constructed or rehabilitated by state governments, restructuring of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and a forensic audit of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC). As can be seen today, the implementation of some of these measures from the FRP has freed up finances for states and enhanced their ability to meet developmental challenges at the subnational level, thereby having a positive impact on the lives of Nigerians. More recently, the issue of the payment of large sums of money running into millions of dollars as consultancy fees to some Nigerians has been in the news. While the matter is currently before the courts and cannot be subject of public discussion, it is pertinent to note that the NGF has been leading the charge on behalf of the Nigerian people against the deductions, as such deductions would amount to pleasing a few to the detriment of the majority. Finally, and most importantly, the NGF Secretariat is at the forefront of bringing newly elected governors up to speed with the rigors of their new portfolios. Most often than not, people from completely different fields are elected as governors of their states. Some may never even have worked in the civil service or in governmental circles. Without a tutorial, therefore, it will be impossible for them to get off the ground quickly. This is where the induction ceremony, usually organized for newly elected governors by the Secretariat, comes into play. It brings together resource persons, former governors from within and outside Nigeria, public admin specialists, and sundry knowledgeable persons to update and teach the new chief executives what their new office entails. This induction has helped in no small way to enable governors hit the ground running on their new jobs without disrupting already set down governance procedures. Without mincing words, therefore, it is clear that the NGF Secretariat has always been at the forefront of promoting good governance to the benefit of the Nigerian people, in line with its core objectives, which are: 1. Render assistance to states to better manage their economies. 2. Ensure convergence of efforts towards tackling insecurity. 3. Remain the anchor for peer learning, reflection, and sharing of experience on subnational issues. 4. Enhance communication with the Nigerian public and other stakeholders. And 5. Strengthen the NGF Secretariat as a policy hub and resource center on matters of subnational governance. Some may begin to wonder how the NGF Secretariat goes about achieving these objectives. As mentioned earlier, the Secretariat is headed by a Director General, who is the Chief Executive, Chief Operating Officer. He is ably assisted by 2 Executive Directors who man the 2 main directorates of the Secretariat, that is, the Directorate of Research and Strategy and the Directorate of Corporate Services. Underneath these 2 directorates are the various desks and units manned by seasoned professionals and technocrats whose experiences cover years of service in both public and private concerns to service in multilateral international organizations. For now, we will take you on a guided tour and put faces to the names as we showcase the men and women who operate behind the scenes to push the governance agenda of the Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF, at the level of the Secretariat. First up is Abdulateef Shitu, Executive Director, Research and Strategy. The department is at the heart of the NGF Secretariat.
The management has been very creative by getting support from development partners and donor agencies, and that has worked tremendously. We started with DFID, that funded the peer review stuff, and then we had UNICEF, UNDP, that's done the Human Capital Development Index review, and then we had UNICEF that worked on health-related issues, nutrition, universal primary health care challenges and all that. And we've been able to put together the dashboard, which has helped to build capacity, at the state level. So funding is needed to do all of this. For legal issues, we have them there. So turbulent issues like on the one on stamp duty, and then issue of federalism. Because remember, we run a federal system of government where the states when the federal or states or some policies want to really impact negatively on the state.
Next is Mohammed Abubakar Jidia, Executive Director of Corporate Services. His directorate is in charge of the day-to-day activities at the NGF Secretariat. He tells us more about the funding of the NGF and its activities.
An NGO registered under Part C of KAMA. We don't receive allocation from Federation account. We have what we call annual dues from the 36th state of the Federation. So each state at the end of the year or the beginning of the year are supposed to contribute to the Nigerian Governors Forum account. Then, we have strategic alliance with development partners. We have really enjoyed the relationship. So we are a policy hub, or what I prefer to call a learning organization. So we organize conferences, seminars, sometimes in conjunction with some other people for the states, local government, and even some private sectors. So all these courses we are attending, all the conferences, the attendees normally pay some course fee. So it's another avenue the Nigerian Governors Forum equally source their funding.
Ahmad Abdul Wahab is the Senior Health Advisor at the NGF. He tells us more about the activities of the Health Desk.
Default health priorities are achieving universal health coverage. 2 is supporting the fight to eradicate polio. The 3rd one is promoting nutrition, and the 4th is on health security. On the polio one, Nigeria certification has been achieved, and Nigerian Governors Forum played a significant role in achieving that result, because it was when the governors actively came into the polio campaign. It was actually the turning point, and then we had a lot of political commitment, and ultimately with support of other partners that are working, I think the country was able to achieve the polio certification. When you look at the other areas, for universal health coverage, is trying to ensure that all the citizens of Nigeria access healthcare they need without suffering any financial embarrassment, so that you're able to just walk into a hospital. You don't have to pay at that point of accessing care. And so with advocacy that we did at the Nigerian Governors Forum, so we've been able to actually get almost 34 states now.
We work with other stakeholders in nutrition to ensure that national level policy are domesticated at the state level, and the governors commit to some key areas that we believe that when they are able to act on them, it will improve the nutrition outcome at the states. And these commitment areas are around strengthening their state committee on food and nutrition, having a multi-sectoral plan on nutrition, because nutrition is actually broad-based, it's multi-sectoral, and then increasing spending on nutrition, and also ensuring that there is maternity cover for breastfeeding mothers.
We have to meet and interface with universal basic education for primary basic education, National Senior Secondary Education Board for secondary, and then tertiary education, National University Commission, National Commission for Colleges of Education, Tertiary Education Fund in charge of funding. Of course, in charge of funding too, you know that they will have to fund both the federal universities and the state universities. And so by so doing, we need to understand the policy trust and how the fundings are being done. So it is expedient on the Governors Forum, the Secretary, to be able to have somebody on ground that will interface with these agencies to address educational issues in Nigeria. For example, we'll have a meeting with a forum for commissioners of education in Nigeria to be able to address very salient issues in the educational system. On the issue of Amajiras, bringing them to the mainstream, helping on school enrollment, seeing that those children who have not been able to have access to school and primary basic education, which is a fundamental right of every child, to bring them back to the school system. For those who have, for one reason or the other, don't have the opportunity to be enrolled, to also look for policies on how to get them back to the school system.
Professor Abba Gambo is the Senior Advisor on Agriculture to the NGF. He tells us more about the issues of the agricultural value chain and how the NGF is helping to ensure more productivity in agriculture.
My mandate here is to develop policies that will assist all the 36 governors, respectively, in the agricultural sector. And when we say agriculture, we're not talking about the whole value chain, from the land clearing to the production, weeding, fertilizer application, chemical application, harvesting, storage, transportation, agro-processing, and now because agriculture is an investment-driven project, we are talking also export-oriented agriculture. Now, let's take just one example, wheat. So recently, if you have noticed, the prices of bread has gone up. The NGF is interested now in getting collaboration and partnerships to develop agriculture to help the state develop the agricultural value chain. One. And then secondly, the NGF is also looking for donors and collaborators that will come together to develop and establish a very good foundation for agricultural development in all the states.
Chijioke Chukwu is the head of legal at the NGF, and he gives an insight into how his desk links the 36 states attorneys general around the federation.
Alongside my other colleagues, we cover everything legal for the forum. We will offer advisory, we write opinions, and then we recommend those who will defend NGF cases in the courts. Now, we have a number of cases that have fundamental impact on the subnational and the states largely. The most important one is looking at the ownership of LNG. LNG, as we know, is the liquefied natural gas, and then the funds really have been managed largely by the federal government, and the states are saying that the monies that were used to set up LNG was taken from the federation account. And if it's from the federation account, it means that it belongs to the three tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local government. So we're currently in court also trying to establish who owns what.
David Nabena, he coordinates the economic policy management programs at the forum.
Our work on strengthening the domestic revenue environment in states, that work started a long time ago, but it became more coordinated in 2017 when we instituted a dashboard. The dashboard really tracks the reform environment around tax administration, tax processing, tax enforcement, and also tax procedures at the state level, how tax authorities function, what their challenges are, how reforms are linked to the final IGL that they collect annually. And our work is to provide technical assistance to them, generate evidence, share that to them, and also support them through training, advisory, and also sharing of knowledge resources that would help them improve revenues.
We're going on a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is Investment Development Nigeria, and the conversation is on the Nigeria Governors Forum Secretariat, the engine room of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
Olanrewaju Ajogbashile is the senior program manager at the forum. His desk is responsible for the capacity building of state officials to ensure that they are up to date in the running of programs that benefit citizens.
The technical assistance we provide to the states in ensuring that we build capacity of the state officials to be able to implement these reforms and, more importantly, sustain them beyond the program. And in doing this, we've supported and trained and advised well over 5,000 state officials. Have benefited from one activity or the other from the Nigerian Governors Forum Technical Assistance Program, in form of advisory, in form of training, in form of exchange visits, in form of peer learning activities like learning alliances. All of these things that have also reached beyond these beneficiaries, in the sense that they're going to be domesticated by multiple ministry departments and agencies.
Hajia Fatima Usman Katsina is the head legislative and Peace and Inclusive Security Unit at the NGF. She gives an insight into the activities of her unit.
I'm sure you're all familiar with the nature of the security crisis we're all dealing with across the nation at the moment. The objective is to put together an early warning system that also incorporates an early response system as well to all these security crises we're having, so that people can communicate, red flag when issues come up, and have a system and operation manual in place in ahead of time.
The objective here is to form strategic partnerships that align with the priority areas to improve subnational performance. Areas such as commerce, trade and investment, the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. We've worked with states, we've worked with in-country and continental secretariats to domesticate this plan at the subnational. States are encouraged to collaborate and work with each other to explore the factor endowment that can improve subnational competitiveness. We've also worked with the presidency to implement the Sustainable Development Goals in the states. Another relationship is with the Federal Ministry of Environment, where we're looking at climate change and how we can implement the mitigation and adaptation strategies that can build climate resilience.
Hawa Haliru Hassan is the coordinator of the gender-based desk. She spoke to us on some of the gender-based advocacy undertaken by the NGF recently.
As we all are aware, during the pandemic, there was a surge in gender-based violence in the country. The governors decided to declare a state of emergency in order to intervene in the crisis. So the intervention, of course, meant that we needed focal persons in the states that would help us drive activities that will reduce or eliminate gender-based violence activities in the states. So they decided to go into like a partnership with the wives, who are now the focal persons in the states that drive activities of gender-based violence in the states. But as we speak now, all the 36 state governors' wives are actually fully involved in the fight against gender-based violence.
In my role as program manager under the NG Cares project, the NG Cares project is a $750 million project from the World Bank. It's supposed to help states manage the adverse effects of COVID-19. Our role at the NGF Secretariat is to aggregate knowledge and disseminate it as well from the project to ensure that the objectives of the program are met. And to do this, we work with data from the World Bank project team, share it with the states, help the states that are lagging behind to learn from those that are performing very well, all in the hopes of achieving the program objectives.
Juliet Chima is a technical assistant to the Director General, and she lets us into the day-to-day workings of the Director General's office and how she manages his schedule.
As the Secretariat, get to brief them on ongoing projects that the NGF Secretariat is carrying out. Another key activity that the Office of the DG carries out is keeping records and publishing important knowledge resources for the governors.
After a grand tour of the principal offices of the NGF Secretariat, Investment and Development Nigeria's Mayowa Oluwabi spoke to the Director General of the Nigeria Governors Forum NGF, Ashishana Bayo Okauru, about the running of the NGF Secretariat. Here are excerpts.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Miwa.
So what have been the areas of intervention of the NGF?
The forum itself is a policy hub. As you know, it's made up of all the 36 state governors. And the intention behind that is to benefit from networks. When you have a number of people coming together and then with plans to leverage that. The Secretariat basically is responsible for helping the governors put their meetings together. We are equally responsible for helping them identify national priorities. As politicians, they come from different parties, and by the forum, we don't look at them at that, a long party line.
Yes. What has been the impact?
It's been possible to create the proper alignment amongst the governors. Remember, a number of them usually will contest as other businessmen, doctors, engineers, teachers, and all that. They come in on the basis of a party. An APC guy, the PDP is rival. We are actually usually the first platform. We're just letting governors know that, look, you are in a different environment now. You are now the governor of everybody. The forum has been able to create that. So the first thing is alignment. Okay. And then the second thing is to really expose them to the forum. A number of them just read about the forum. They don't know much about this forum. So what we usually do is getting other governors to come talk to them. Share experiences with them. We provide that first platform where you're able to interact with older colleagues, people that have done this for about 8 years and are out, so they're able to share with you. So again, it creates it's an educational platform. It's a schooling environment. They are likely going to be exposed to
to the kind of things they are likely to experience. You know, people don't know until they open the books. You wake up in the morning, you're now governor. You ask the accountant general what you have, and they tell you, sir, we're indebted. There's no money out here. And then so how to even take off? So it's helped to create higher level of commitment to the forum.
There's a key role that strategic alliances and development partners play in the execution of the mandate.
Absolutely.
So what has been the outcome of governors working with these partners?
It's turned out better today. Why do you want to work with partners? Because you want to do what you do regularly better. If there are certain benefits that could accrue from your state, you want to get them seamlessly. You come in as governor, you already have a framework from the Forum Secretariat based on what we've been doing. So we simply just make that available. So it's now much easier for states to relate with development partners, to assess facilities and resources at that level, and sometimes it's not even cash, it's not money, it's technical know-how.
So my last question was, there is a visible growth in your team at the NGF Secretariat. Is this indicative of an expansion in scope or mandate?
The basic mandate is around governance, around ensuring that the Secretariat is run properly, ensuring that our principals benefit get on the Secretariat, and ensuring that the Secretariat is run professionally, as a non-partisan policy hub. And a reference point for our principals, and to ensure that all 36 governors have equal access to the Secretariat and all the resources here. That's what we've always done, and it's remained that way. If you look at the peer review mechanism that was initiated, we saw that as a takeoff program, and it's still done as a flagship project. And then we've tried to build a number of things around that. But remember, in doing all this, from time to time we go out to feel the pulse of our principals. What are those very, very important things at the state level? And then, of course, we are now heavy on human capital development. There's a project like that, so that we generally call it SIFTAS. It is the State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability project. It's a pretty big project, and so it's enabled us to bring in a number of experts, either as consultants or as part-time officials, just to provide technical assistance to a number of the states. And then we just want to be sure that there's a country to run. If we corrupt the process, it will show. That's been my experience.
Mr. Ashishan Okari has been speaking to us on investment and development in Nigeria. You can see the impact of the NGF Secretariat at subnational level of governance in Nigeria. It's been a policy hub and a catalyst for change. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Let's do it again.
It's a wrap on investment development in Nigeria, and we've been talking Nigeria Governors Forum Secretariat. Now, I didn't know so much was happening behind those doors. It's a policy hub and a catalyst for change for governments at the subnational level. My name is Mayowa Oluwabi. Thank you for watching. God bless Nigeria.